Hello, everyone, or whoever is out there. This is the Virginia Bushcrafter. Just out here practicing once again. Just finished having a meal. Rather warm. I guess it's probably warm everywhere now. I was just coming on here. Hey, KP, I can always count on you. How are you doing, man? Good to see you. How's everything in Louisiana? Was this my Renaissance grandma? How are you doing? Thanks for joining in. How's everything going on your end, guys? I'm just out here. Could be better. Well, yeah. I guess that's an everyday thing, you know. Every day we're looking for something better and better, you know. But yeah, I'm just out here. Came out here this morning to practice putting up a. It's called a sea fly tarp shelter. It seems pretty simple, but I haven't done one. I think since maybe 3 years. It's been a long time. And when I did that one 3 years ago, that was with a 9 by 12 tarp shelter. And I did this one with a 10 by 10. I think you can see a little bit of it in the background. Yeah, that's the shelter I built um, this morning. 65 degrees and rainy here in Missouri. Well, yeah, temperatures they vary so much. I remember, who was it? I heard yesterday or day before yesterday it was 29 degrees in Detroit, I believe. Yeah. Good night. I can't pronounce your name, but I definitely appreciate you. Vaisnav. I definitely appreciate you coming in. It must be nighttime where you are. Oh, you are in India. India, okay. Well, thanks for taking the time to come out and say hello. Hey, Jameson, thanks for coming out, man. I definitely appreciate you guys. But yeah, KL, everybody, I definitely appreciate you guys coming in. It definitely means a lot. That is for sure. It is a big help. And hey, Gma, how you doing? Nicole, how are you? How you wonderful guys, illustrious YouTubers doing? Yeah, guys, I'm out here practicing. And again, let me just show you. That's the sea fly tarp that I did this morning. I did that using tent pegs or tent stakes. And I split some wood. I'm still trying to learn how to really use this axe. I am from the United States, Northern Virginia, Eastern Standard Time. I think I forgot. I don't know what time is it here. I don't know. But yeah, Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, I was out here again practicing with this axe, splitting wood. I did a lot of wood with this today. This is only the second time that I have used it. Waiting on my car to cool off to change the water pump. Yeah, definitely let that cool off. But it's good you know how to change that water pump. I would have no clue in changing a water pump. But yeah, that's good you know how to do it. Save a lot of money. But yeah, I was using this hatchet today. You know, there is some practice that requires splitting wood with an axe because everything is just not square like you think it is when you see it on sometime on YouTube. But when you're actually out here in the bush, Bexy, you build something out of wood? Yes, I can build something out of wood, which I'm going to do. But if you check my playlist, you will see where I made a hammock out of wood and paracord. Another time it was out of wood and rope, and it went back and forth just like a hammock. Yeah, but it was the two rails on the side were about 8 feet long, and the crossings were about 6. So I just made some notches, square notches, fit them in together. Did that on all four corners. Then I used a square knot to secure them, and then I wrapped paracord in between, and I put my bedroll on top of that, and I hung it with rope the first time. The second time I used mule tape, but I've made a hammock about, let's see, about at least 3 times. I've built a debris shelter, but I'm looking forward to building. But see, the thing is that where I am, we can't build permanent shelter. Hey, grandfather outdoors, how you doing? How's everything going? Yeah, I can't build permanent shelters unless I am using jute twine or vines. You can't use any man-made items such as paracord. You can't leave it. So that's one of the things I want to do. But that's something that it's going to be a 2-day process for me. Doing great, my friend. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, I like that last shelter you did with the uh, poncho. You call it the what is it? The pop up you did? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Using the tent poles on the poncho, and it was baby. I mean, that thing had to be maybe about a foot off the ground, but that was pretty cool. I like that. Something I'll have to try. Yeah. Okay, Alpha Tent. That's what it's called. Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, you got to go check that out. Hey, Smiling Solutions, how you doing? Inspirations. Hey, I'm glad I am. I really like showing people what I learned in the bush. There's so many other things to learn that I'm hoping that people will go out and try it. And just remember, I mean, they're just like in town, downtown. There's a lot of fun just being out in the woods, the bush, the woods, fishing. That's a lot. But today I came out here and the thing is, there's so many things you want to do when you come out here. I wanted to do an example of splitting wood using a saw. Actually, you take your wood, you saw it here, you saw it here, you turn the wood over, you saw it in the middle, and you should be able to saw it and then hit it, and the wood should split. I wanted to do that today, but I wasn't able because I had to put the tarp up twice. The first time I really wasn't pleased with it. There was some slag in the back, so I made some adjustments, and then I used a branch to pull the back out. So that's a tarp that I made back there. If you guys can, I don't know if you can see it, but I did a short on it also. But yeah, so my main thing was really I'm not as proficient as I want to be with the axe right now. I do have a knife with me, but I did not use that knife to do any splitting. I used a condor pterosaur to make some feather sticks. I took this and I inserted it into the wood, and then I made the feather sticks from this method. I've usually made the feather sticks. Thanks. I'm glad you like that sea fly tarp. Yeah, I've usually made the feather sticks, holding the feather stick and then going downward. But I wanted to try something different today. And the feather sticks turned out really well. Put this into this block of wood and just pull the wood back and make the feather stick. So it's going to be on the video. And I also used a Baco Laplander today. Um, I may have shown this to you guys before, but this is the Baco Laplander that cuts on the push and the pull. And I used that because I wanted to saw some wood the length of the axe to make it easier to split. So I used this tool, but really the saw is actually for precision. When you want to cut something, you're cutting fibers, and you want to make something that is it's precision. So you know exactly where you're sawing. So that's one purpose of the saw. Plus, less calories. Yeah, I gotta going to hang my hammock and take a nap. Keep up the good work. All right, I appreciate it, Grandfather Outdoors. I'll be waiting for to see that next video. But yeah, this is this tool right here is for precision measurements. You want something exact, and so I use again. So these are the three tools I used. This hatchet, this axe, which is pretty good. I like using the axe, but you are going to use. I didn't do a lot of chopping. I did splitting with this today. And again, trying to keep the wood stable. That's a chore, but you learn how to do it. And this is always easy. Again, less calories that you burn. And I use this again because I wanted to make some perfection, perfect, and be some perfection feather sticks today. So I use this because it also has a Scandinavian grind blade or edge. You can see here it has one angle that just goes all the way down to a 0. And this is a very, very good knife. Condor Teresa. So, and of course, a shovel, from a fire pit. This is a pretty good shovel. I have other shovels, but for some reason, I like using this shovel because it's very packable. But I will say this is my second one. I bent the first one. And you can see this one is somewhat bent a little bit. I don't know if you look at it. I don't know. You can see it's bent somewhat. But this pick works very well when making. You can see here. I really have. Let's see. Right here, where this goes up, I really have used this thing because, hey, Canna John, thanks for coming in, man. That guy. Canna John has some good music, man. If you guys get a chance, you got to go in there and just listen to some of his music. Very, very soothing. But yeah, I use this to pick, loosen the dirt. And then I'll just scoop it out with this. And sometimes I'll have to, cut some roots or something with this. This actually has an edge for you to cut roots. So I'll do that sometimes. But yeah, I think the main purpose though is becoming very familiar with your tools. Again, the tool that I want to even become better with is the axe. Again, splitting wood is that's pretty easy. Well, let's say you got to practice, but when it comes to chopping, you're actually breaking fibers. You're breaking fibers of the tree going this way. So that's a lot different from taking a piece of wood and taking the hatchet head down and splitting it. Hey, Kevin Royster, Bushcraft Ken. Hey, how you doing, Pittsburgh? All right, thanks for coming in. Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, man. One of these days, man, I'm gonna have a meetup, and I'm going to have an intense meetup because I want to do a lot of teaching. I want to teach, the cutting tools. I want to start from well, actually, what I would like to do is start from, concentrate on the 10 C's. Start out giving, like maybe if it's 3 days, I can take 3 classes or 3 subjects per day. And one of those I'll just squeeze in. Probably the last one would be the canvas needle, but I would spend the first day on cover, cutting tool, and combustion. I think I would do that the first day. The second day, I would go with container, cordage, let's see, and candle, which would be your headlight. And then the third day, I would concentrate on cargo, which is gorilla tape, on how you can use gorilla tape, compass, and let's see, what's the other one? Cotton, which is a bandana, or how you can use bandana and things like that to start a fire. And somewhere in there, squeeze in a canvas needle, because a canvas needle does have a lot of intent. As a matter of fact, I took some number 18 bank line, and I opened it up because there are 3 strands, and I used that and the canvas needle to actually sew some gloves up, some leather gloves that I'm using today. Rather than toss them out, I said this would be some good practice. So that's what I did. But the thing is finding the place to do it, um, and being able to actually have a fire. I would prefer to have a fire in the woods as opposed to a fire ring, because when making a fire, you're going to have to gather your materials. You're going to have to gather your tinder. You're going to have to gather your kindling, gather your fuel. You're going to have to use a combustion tool, a ferrocerium rod, or flint and steel, or bow drill, plow drill, or hand drill, to make sure that you know how to make that fire. I would really concentrate on cover, making sure that you at a minimum put up a lean-to, at least 2 different types of shelters, a lean-to and an A-frame, or any two that you would like. Plow Point, Adirondack, Baker's Tarp, at least 2 shelters. Um, let's see, when it comes, that would be cover. When it comes to container, I would be concentrating on sourcing some water, filtering that water, and then purifying that water. Actually going to a river, stream, creek, or brook and sourcing your water. Um, Actually cooking. I would really like to delve off into the bushcraft skills, even with navigation. It would be great to have people with a compass to come in, make identify an azimuth. An azimuth is just a mark, and then create a bearing. Gertrude, how are you? A bearing, and follow that bearing in. A bearing is the directions that you're going. For example, when I came in this morning, I did have an azimuth, but I came in at South 202, which I know I'm leaving at North 202. So, just by learning to use a compass, I think that's really important. But I don't know, there's a lot involved with having to meet up. You have to have some type of insurance. Um, I guess it would be wise to have porta potties, but actually, when you're in the bush, there's no porta potties. Um, I would say, at a minimum, if you have alcohol pads, that's one way of keeping yourself clean. Wipe yourself down with alcohol pads or baby wipes. Um, But there's a lot to actually. There's a lot to learn in the bush, and I don't know. I got to figure out some kind of way to have a meetup and have something that, I mean, that you're going to walk away with some hands-on experience. Everyone will be more than just a student. You're going to be a student, but you're also going to participate. But anyway, that's something in the future I would like to do. Um, I just, I don't know. I'm in Northern Virginia, and there's a travel. I don't know, traveling from different locations because you would be staying in the bush. I mean, what you see here is what you would be staying in. It's not going to be anywhere in a park where there's a water fountain and there's a bathroom. It won't be any of that. So, but anyway, that's something for the future I would love to do. Hey, Paul, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Yeah, man, it's good to see all you guys. Um, but my thing is, I came out here this morning. I really wanted to take my time and do everything, and and here again, when you come out into the bush, let it be no surprise that you can have everything in your mind that you want to do. The Orlando Prepper. Good evening, sir. How are you? Yeah, you can have everything planned that you want to do in the bush, um, and something to come up that you won't get everything done. I mean, I even made a list. Uh, there was something in my list that there are two things I did not get to do because, let me just find it. No, I mean, right in the rain notepad should always have one with you. Um, oh yeah, something about carrying an axe. A proper way to carry an axe. Basically, if you have it, if you have some extra paracord, you can actually make a loop and put this onto your belt. I may try to squeeze that in today, but that's one of the things I wanted to demonstrate. Again, splitting wood with a saw. I wanted to do that and didn't get a chance. I wanted to talk about a walking staff. You know, um, I have this walking staff. As a matter of fact, let me just get it. Okay, I bring this with me every time I come into the bush. Every time I come into the bush. This assists in walking, but what I use it for is really when I come into the bush, before I step over a log, I will rake all the leaves behind, behind it, and in front of the leaves. Because if there's any snakes, I will discover them before I step over the log. And then I would tap the log to make sure. But I also use this when I'm coming in and there are bushes, I can actually move them out of the way. This is going to require video in and of itself, but sometimes I'll use this portion for actually digging. And the sheath has a ferrocerium rod that I can use for starting a fire. So the walking staff, that's probably something I'm going to do along by itself. So you can have all of these plans, but for some reason you just run out of time. So I wanted to show again, which you kind of have to be separate, is that carrying the proper way to carry an axe on your side using paracord, splitting wood with a saw, the walking staff, and I did get to demonstrate the method of doing the feather sticks today. So I say that because you can have all of these plans from coming into the bush, but some kind of way you can always get derailed from doing everything you want. Because again, like this sea fly tarp, I'm thinking, oh, I've done it a couple of years ago. I'm just going to put 10 stakes here, 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 here across the front, raise the front up over the ridge line, and use the two prusik knots and pull the front forward. It sounds simple. It is simple, but then you have to make adjustments that I did not take into account. So there's always, that's why it's so good to just come out and practice. You can have it you can up here in theory, but until you come out and practice it. Now, what's my objective of doing this? It's just fun. There's no specific objective. It's just something I like doing. I just like nature, and I just have the opportunity to do it. So that's why. But um, I wanted to start building, actually building shelters, uh, which here it is, what, May 25th already? How time goes by so fast. I haven't had time to do that because those are things that if I build a shelter, I'm staying overnight or two. That's a lot of work to build a shelter correctly and then have to leave the same day. So the shelter will be something. I have built a shelter that stayed up for about 3 weeks until I tore it down. It was a debris shelter that started off as a lean-to shelter, and I just each weekend I just enclosed it more and more until there was just a small little door to go in. And what I learned from that is that I should build it higher than 3 feet because every time I went in and came out, I had to stoop so forth and bump your head, and you have to be cognizant of all the leaves. So I could not build it very close to the fire, but I had to go get out of the debris shelter, feed the fire, go back in. So what I'll do next time is build it so that I can walk into it and use a lot of logs, long logs, to make a long fire that will last all night. So, those are some of the plans. There are always a lot of plans to do when you're out here bushcrafting. But I think anyone who is interested in the wilderness or the outdoors, I think a lot of people just do not take that step because they do not want to step out alone. And I can totally understand that. Um, I think the reason why I was comfortable doing it, it's because of hunting. You come out early in the morning to hunt, and you may be out here all day and not see one single deer. More than not, you're not more often you're not going to see a deer, but it requires patience, and just like fishing, it requires patience. Tomorrow's a holiday. I'm going to do some bike riding early in the morning, and then I'm going to go fishing. Um, Fishing is a challenge as well, and fishing is a part of bushcrafting. How I'm thinking about, maybe I should even just take my hobo reel. Uh, that's part of my backpack. I've never fished with it before, but that's something I'm thinking about doing. But yeah, there's a lot of things to do when it comes to bushcrafting. But I'm really giving some thought. I've been to a lot of meetups, and they have been totally awesome. Totally awesome meetups. You learn a lot from these meetups. People who have actually spent 56, 50 days, 45 days out in the wilderness with just 10 items. Just listening to them and their experience, it's truly exhilarating. So, I mean, and it just makes me want to do more. And as a matter of fact, guys, I hope you guys have seen the video that I've done on the expedition kukri designed by Alan Kay. That's going to be out with me next week. For some reason, I wanted to use this at least twice. Um, Again, you just don't pick up an axe and learn and use it. You know, you really have to pick it up and learn it. So I'm going to be bringing the kukri out. Um, the kukri it's a good chopping tool. Uh, I mean, when Alan Kay made his decision, he took a Condor kukri with him, and when he came back, he designed the kukri that he's using now. And there is some difference in the kukris. If you are familiar with kukris, his kukris have what is called fullers. It has two fullers, and that is where some metal is grind out to help with balance and speed. Um, Whereas the one that he took is more or less of a starts off as a flat grind and goes down to a saber grind. Um, but both of them are very, very good tools. I think once you practice with your tools, you're very familiar with the tools, you know the anatomy of your tools, you can do a lot more. If you're really familiar with knowing the three parts of the blade on a kukri, you know, one can be used for digging, one's for chopping, one's for fine carving. Um, if you're familiar with using a blade that's a tanto blade that's used for piercing tough materials, and a blade that has um, that is serrated. Many people are not fond of a serrated blade, but if you know the benefits of a serrated blade, you're going to enjoy it. I will never turn back or turn towards not using a blade that is serrated. Um, I'm sure I've shown this to you before, but the pocket knife that I carry, serrations with a tanto blade. I've dug holes with this. I've cut. As a matter of fact, I use it today to cut some roots. Um, I've cooked. I've used this for cooking. I have used this for digging. I've used it for carving. There are many things that I've used this very inexpensive gas station knife for. But I am a fan of a tanto blade and serrations. But you know, knife and everything, if you really look at it, how many things are made from a blade? Or how many things that are made or manufactured started out being used by blade? If we look at a vehicle that was made years ago, it was a blade that they started with, blades and torches. So a blade is a very, very good tool. Once you learn how to use it and you know what it's used for. Now, with this one, I wouldn't try to, you know, do tensile strength and things and so forth, but this would do everything that I wanted to do. And again, it's a gas station $10 knife that I've had. I've had this knife since probably 2000 and 2010, and I have three or four more just like them. The thing is, they don't wear out. I sharpen it just like I do my other knives. So, you know, just coming out here, learn your tools, you know. I think, I mean, without a knife, there's just no way. Without a cutting tool, I mean, I've heard some people say they don't need an axe, or well, in your region, you may not, you know. I guess if I'm in an area where there's just lots of vegetation, I probably would not need an axe, but I just would not feel comfortable going into the bush without an axe. You know, you can use this axe again for clearing out brush, even though the bit or the edge is only maybe like 3.5 inches. You still can use this to trailblaze, you know, notching trees to you know, to identify your way coming back by, you know, that's trailblazing. Just removing limb, and you remove a limb from a tree and you want to delimb it, you can use this, you know. um, so it's just a matter of how much or how far you want to go really learning and practicing. I am of the opinion that for me, that I want to get out at least once a week. once a week. Just to come out and practice, and then really test yourself staying overnight. Now, here's another thing about staying overnight. Let's see if this chat is moving. I don't know if it's moving or not. I don't want to touch anything, but um, the thing about lost my train of thought. About coming. Oh, staying out overnight. You can come out 7, 8, 9 o'clock the first day, and my routine is to set up a shelter, a good sturdy shelter, and I spend the rest of the day harvesting and processing wood for the night. Maybe an hour to hour and a half before sundown, I go ahead and eat. Now, when I'm harvesting wood and processing wood, I'm snacking the whole day and drinking Gatorade and so forth, tea, just to keep from getting hungry, making sure I don't overheat because this is usually in the wintertime. But and I say, well, I'm going to leave here tomorrow morning, maybe 10 o'clock after I have breakfast. But after you wake up about maybe 6 and you hear the birds chirping and you see daybreak, for me, it's like I'm really ready to go because I'm tired then because I've been up all night. Many people say, well, they get a good night's sleep at night, even in the bush. Okay, that's possible. But I know I like having a fire all night long because that fire is just going to provide that warmth, and I don't have to wear a large coat. I can wear layers. So by having that large fire and having a lot of wood, you know, yes, you're going to have to feed it, which means you're going to be up. I mean, I'm up every single hour. I may sleep maybe 15 minutes per hour because I like watching the fire. I get some sleep, get back up, and the next morning, yeah, you're tired. So staying here 2 days with one person, I'm sure there's a lot of adjustments I will have to make when I decide to stay in the bush 3 days and 2 nights. Of course, I'm going to have enough food, more than enough food, but I will have to source my water because I'm not going to walk into the bush with a gallon of water on my back. That's what extra 10 pounds right there. But by having things such as a mini Sawyer or a Grail or again, aqua tablets or iodine, or you can again source your water, purify it by using a bandana. I mean that you can filter it by using a bandana and then boil it. Let it come to a boil at least for 3 minutes, and that water is purified. So, for one person to stay 3 days and 2 nights, those are some of the things that you're going to have to take into consideration. Wellness frugal with Frugal Mama. Hello there. How are you? Hey, wellness. I am getting back in shape. I am on the hunt to drop 15 pounds. So I am back at bike riding, walking. I haven't been doing that as much, lifting weights and so forth. But yeah, I have this thing about I want to lose 15 pounds. I just do. I want to get to that weight, my optimal weight of 185. So I'm 200 now. I want to get down to 185. I think that's when I perform my best doing anything, at 185. And again, I find out that what helps me a lot, burning calories, is just walking and riding a bike. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, riding that bike. I was on the bike yesterday. It's fun. You see so many things on a bike that you do not see when you're in a car. You can drive through downtown, you can drive through the suburbs, and you'll see things that you've never seen before. whereas in a car, you don't realize it. But even walking on the trail, I walked it's 3.75 miles walking trail. I think it's called the Canal, Fredericksburg Canal, and it's very historic. There, it tells you about wars, uh, the old what is it called? The old electric system they had. They have these. I don't know what it's called, but you can just stop and read about the history of Fredericksburg. So it's very interesting. Fredericksburg is a very old, quaint town. Very nice though. It was somewhat crowded yesterday, but that's because the weather was just so beautiful. And again, so walking and riding a bike is it's just a lot of fun. And so I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Ride that bike, uh, get the rod and reel out, go fishing. I'm gonna do some filming from that. I like catching fish and just giving them to people who are less fortunate. Let's say people that can't work, things of that nature. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Since tomorrow's a holiday, and then I'm planning on. Well, next weekend I won't be able to get in the bush at all. Um, I'm going to be attending, not participating in a bike race next weekend. There's a bike race they have here in Virginia every year, where you do have riders from Europe, and a lot of these riders, or well, not a lot of them, but some of them are riders that participate in the Tour de France. So it's a very, very professional race, 2 days of racing, and I'm going to be watching that. So I'm going to have to get in the bush well before Friday. Again, I try to get in the bush at least once a week. I do something concerning bushcrafting. So the time go by so fast is that you don't have time to do everything you want to do. But yeah, exercise and in the bush, this is another thing. You do have to get in shape to come out into the bush. Um, One thing that I really think about is that coming into the bush, this area that I come to, very, very easy. It looks flat, but you're descending. But you really know when you're leaving out of here that you're going up something very steep, but it's a false flat. But and I take the way through the bush so I can use my compass. I don't go all the way to the road and then walk up the road. Even though when I'm coming in, I'm walking down the trail and then I'll cut into the bush. But from here, I'll just leave straight out of the bush. It's going over the logs. Um, there are some game trails that I do go across, but and the thing about it, you have to walk slowly. You have to maintain a balance, and here again, that's one reason why I use the walking stick. And guys, this is nothing more than a closet pole that is shaved down with a cold steel knife on here. I put a screw in it, if you can see the screw there. So this is permanently attached. And but I do have another one at home. I'm saying that that's taller than this one. If I'm out in the bush with 3 guys or more, I will be carrying both of these. I will have one and someone else will be using one. And you can actually make a stretcher using this with paracord. So in the event that you had to help someone out of the bush, you do have something that will assist you in taking them out of the bush. Again, this can be a stretcher with 2 of these and paracord, bandana. You can make a stretcher from this, and I've seen it done in a class at the Georgia Bushcraft meetup. They have classes there, and they actually showed how you can make a stretcher using a walking stick, or if you call it a walking staff. So yeah, those are some of the things that I I really concentrate on. Here already, I'm thinking, what things I'm going to do next week. Again, the notes that I have written down, I want to go over those. But I have material this thick that I want to share with people, things that I have not done myself. And before I actually talk upon those subjects, I want to at least try them. For instance, I have a bow drill kit, a kit that I want to practice on, and I've been able to get an ember, but I haven't brought it. I haven't done it outdoors. But at least again, what I'm learning about, there's pressure that you use on the, it's called the bearing block, I believe. Certain type of pressure. If you hear a squealing sound, you're putting too much pressure or not enough pressure. So those are things that I'm learning, and that's something I want to learn. But if there was a true emergency, are you going to use a bow drill or a ferrocim rod, flint and steel, plow point, hand drill, or are you going to use matches and a lighter? So it depends. But for me, coming out into the bush, the only time I'm going to use a lighter is if I'm lighting a candle. And I will use a candle at night as a lantern, or I will use, what is it, citronella candle sometimes to help keep mosquitoes away. So, or I will use matches if I'm lighting, they're called hexamine tablets. Um, so in those instances, I will use a lighter or a match. But actually, to come out into the bush, I must basically use a ferrocim rod or flint and steel. And again, like today, I used ferrocim rod with uh, what's it, pine, fatwood pine dust that I had actually harvested and made some shavings and used that to start the fire. So there's a lot. I mean, it's truly a journey. It's truly a journey. There's no end to learning this stuff. Uh, I mean, one of the fantastic shelters is called the Super Shelter. I've built one twice, and I just didn't see the point in it. It's like I'm still cold. I have to get out and feed the fire. But it wasn't until I took a class and made the super shelter. And I'm going to tell you, you can get into a super shelter. You don't need a coat. You can just have your night clothes on, and they can be 15 degrees outside. You will feel like you are in an oven if the super shelter is built properly. So that's another thing that I'm going to do. Again, I've made them before, but it's a learning process. You cannot have any type of air escaping inside. You can have a vent because it's going to get really hot in there using that super shelter. Um, and I think it was Morris Kohansky who was the one who came up with that. I believe, from what I understand, that he was there were some kids taking a class, and they happened to pull a lot of plastic over their lean-to shelter, and they would notice that they didn't have many clothes on because being in that super shelter, it was just so warm. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. Hey, XNYC. How are you doing, guy? Long time no see. XNYC, my friend from New York. I think XYC, you're past Long Island, I think. What part of New York are you in? Are you near Hudson Valley? Yeah, Ralph, that's his name. Yeah, yeah, he's yeah. Now, if you want to talk about walking staffs and canes, okay, upstate, Hudson Valley. Yeah, if you guys want to know about canes and so forth, Orlando Prepper and XNYC, those guys really know about canes uh, and walking staffs. Yeah, so if you check out their channel, you will learn a lot about walking canes and um, about canes and walking staffs. So, but again, I have another one. I haven't brought it out because it's heavier than this one, and it is basically a spear. It has two edges. It has two edges, and it's used for um, hog hunting, boar hunting, and it's about a foot taller than this one. This one I'm gonna say is maybe 7 feet. The other one, I don't know. This one is taller than me. The other one is longer than this one, but it's a double edge. I haven't brought it out, but I'm gonna bring it out and just practice throwing it. Find a dead tree and just practice throwing it. I've practiced throwing this one. The only thing about this one is when the point inserts the wood, you can see there's some shaking, but this never bends. It flexes, but it doesn't bend. But I really need to clean this one up. It's still fairly sharp. Not as sharp as it has been. But again, I use this. I can make a fire pit with this. I was just clearing out some dirt over there for some fat wood, just poking this in. So there are a lot of uses for this. Just a camera here. But yeah, guys, I'm just out here enjoying this, And this is something else that's very unique. No matter how hot it is, when you come into this bush, this is mud. This is wet. The tip is wet. So anytime you dig a fire pit, it's not really hard because and I just learned not long ago that it's always just moist in the bush, But yeah, get out of here and get on the road. It's going to be very dry, but as long as you're in this bush, this soil is wet, and that does affect making a fire. So, but hey, these are the elements that we just deal with. We just deal with it. I'm old. I need it. Oh, you say you're old. You need it. Hey, but you know what? There is a proper way. There is a proper way to use trekking poles and walking staffs. I want to do a video on that because when you're using a trekking pole, I'll see if I can show you. Is that your arm, your elbow, your arm should be at a 90-degree angle when walking. And when you're walking, this is actually used to thrust you forward. So as you're walking with this here, this is actually pushing you forward. I do that coming into the bush, but I do it all the time, and it's just natural to me. It's like it's not anything, but I think that's something I want to do a video on. There's no wrong way to use trekking poles, but if you're going uphill, if you have two trekking poles and you're going uphill, that's the time to shorten the trekking poles to help you uphill. If you're coming downhill, then you extend your trekking poles going downhill. And if you're on level ground, then your forearm should be at a 90-degree angle with the ground. And the trekking pole actually, again, 90-degree angle. 90-degree angle. This, when I take a step, I'm pushing back, and this is pushing me forward. So coming into the bush, you'll find the benefit. I just don't carry this just to have it, but I will use it at night against predators if necessary. Um, you always want to use whatever method you can to keep you safe and keep you from having to deal with uh, any explanations to law enforcement and so forth. But you know, raccoons that will sometimes challenge you, this will keep them at bay, or cats. The only thing we're concerned with in this area, um, bears. You're right. You, I wouldn't even try to use this for a bear. I mean, this is wood. I would use other means for a bear. You know, bear spray, um, pots and pans to make noise. Uh, there's again, bear spray, air horn. There are a lot of things you can use, but usually they don't want to be bothered with you just as much as you don't want to be bothered with them. But then if it comes down to it, there's always a last resort, but you want to make sure that is the very last resort, because you do have to do some explaining if something happens to that bear. But yeah, but I've not seen any bears anytime doing any bushcrafting. I've only seen bears doing hunting. None I've seen, because I guess, once I'm here and I'm staying here and you have smoke, even though I do cook each time I come out here, there's always smoke. So I don't think any animal really wants to come around. I mean, at night I may hear field mouse or some owls, coyotes off of a distance. Let's see, I've heard coyotes, owls, I've even heard the deer at night, and I'm always saying, why aren't you that close when I'm deer hunting? So, yeah, but yeah, I've not seen any bears. Now, me saying that, watch me see a bear on my way out. I have seen bears when I'm out squirrel hunting. When you're out squirrel hunting and you have squirrel ammunition, number 6 shots, and you see a bear, well, you don't run, that's for sure. But, that goes with the territory. But yeah, so I was just looking up here, seeing if the chat is moving here. Yeah. Hey, Daryl, how you doing, man? What's this? Black Hawk Bushcraft. Black Hawk Bushcraft. Saw you go live and wanted to pop in and say hello. Well, I definitely appreciate it, Black Hawk. I definitely appreciate it. A bear killed a man and his dog in Florida 2 weeks ago. Yeah, bears are very, very strong. Wow, that's not good news. That's sad news. Yeah, bears. I mean, sometimes they say definitely if it's a sow, you just stay away. I would stay away from any bear, but you always want to keep your head on a swivel, even out here. And that's another thing when you're bushcrafting. When I first started, everything that I heard, it was like, oh, what is that? What is this? But you start to hear the sounds over and over, and like trees rubbing together late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, trees rubbing together from the wind, field mouse running through here, the owls hooting, coyotes off at a distance. Just as long as you don't hear the grunt from a bear, I don't think you'll hear a cat, because cats, they come from behind. So even at night, I try to make sure that I'm in my shelter that covers my back, but I always have a lantern and I have a fire going all night. But I am going to be putting together a perimeter security system, and I want a system that's 360 degrees around me. I won't go into detail about it, but I think I've seen a lot of systems, and I am pretty sure that if I'm out here for more than one night or a night, I'm going to have a security system. I've even made a man-made security system, uh, but I've seen some other ones that I would prefer to have. Let's see. Yep. So yeah, that's about it for me, guys. I just wanted to hop in here, holler at you guys, see what's new, try to share what I've learned. Frank Fairfax, a subscriber, said hello. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Frank. I appreciate all you guys. You know, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out on Sundays or when I'm into the bush just to hear me. I'm and come and visit with me because it's really something in me that want to convey all of the fun, all of the excitement that I have out here by myself in the bush. It's the challenges. Again, this tarp very very. I don't know if did I move it or something. Tarp very very easy to put up, but I had to do it twice because once it was up the first time, I wasn't pleased. I wanted it tighter, so I basically took it all the way down to the ground and redid it. You know, here again, learning to do it the correct way. I think it was one lady, Madison, who said, you don't have time to do it right the first time, but you always have time to do it right the second time. And there is truth to that. So, a turkey hunter was attacked by a bobcat 3 weeks ago. You never know. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, cats are very, very quiet. As a matter of fact, last week, I'm sitting on my balcony, and a bobcat just walks through the back. And I was, it's like, I didn't believe it. A bobcat walked through the back. You know, there's a row of homes here and a row of homes here. There's this alley, grassy. You know, some kids go back then, they play soccer and everything. Bobcat just walked right on through, came up to one of the trees, left from under the tree, went to another one. I said, you know, that's because of all the home building that's gone on, and they're losing their habitat. So, yeah, but at night, I'm very, very cognizant of anything. I try my best to be aware of anything that's going on. Yeah. Hey guys, but I'm not going to hold you any long. I want to be respectful of your time on a Sunday, but I'll see everyone the next time that I'm in the bush. I'm going to do my best to get back into the bush before Saturday, because Saturday and Sunday again, I'm going to be at a very exciting bike race. So I know I'm fishing tomorrow. I'm bike riding and fishing tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get into the bush Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So guys, on that note, I'm going to see you next time. I appreciate every one of you guys coming in. If you could hit that thumbs up for me, I definitely appreciate it. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next time. This is the Virginia Bushcrafter signing out. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.